Close Up is brought to you by the Kia Sorento R, redefining the power of Kia.
Gay marriage is back on the agenda after the Marriage Amendment Bill was drawn from the parliamentary ballot. So, is a law change a foregone conclusion? We hit up your MPs this afternoon to see where they stand. There is, of course, 121 of them. We found that 42 will definitely support the bill, and that includes all the Greens, Peter Dunn and Hone Harawira, 21 Labour MPs and a handful of National MPs. But some qualify that support, saying that only support it to the first reading, so it can get to the Select Committee. Only one MP admitted to be against the bill. That's this man, Richard Prosser. He's a list MP for New Zealand First. We have 18 undecideds at this time. A lot here said they're waiting to read the bill and canvass the feelings in their electorates. So there's definitely still a chance for you to have your say on this issue. 6 of them just won't tell us. Phil Heatley wouldn't deign to respond to a poll. And we were unable to hear back or to reach 54 MPs. Parliament is sitting at the moment, so we presume they're too busy in the chamber. So that's it. The bill needs 61 votes to pass, and from these numbers, it would look as though it's well on the way. So does that give hope to Louisa Wall? She's the MP who's promoting the bill, and she joins me now from Wellington. Louisa Wall, you would have started counting the numbers. Do you think you've got enough to get it through?
Kia ora, Mark. Yes, I do think we will get the numbers for the first reading. I think that the public of New Zealand have been very clear with 63% support with one of your own polls in support of marriage equality. And I just think internationally at the moment there's a bit of a social phenomenon happening around marriage equality. And Barack Obama certainly has provided an impetus in our country for the discussion. Sure.
Now, this in the Colmar Brunton poll did show 63% say they were willing to look at gay marriage over and above a civil union. But is this an issue in some ways that's too fundamental, too important just to be left to the MPs? Should the public be consulted?
Absolutely, the public should be consulted, and in fact that's what the parliamentary process will facilitate. I am pushing this bill because the rainbow community in New Zealand want equality. They want the same rights to the social institution of marriage as all New Zealanders, and as citizens of our country and in a democracy, I have as an MP within the Labour Party, within our Rainbow Caucus, proposed the bill. So if it is passed at first reading, in fact that's exactly what will happen in New Zealand. We will be able to have that conversation.
But some of your MPs argued against that same principle, say in terms of asset sales, saying, OK, goes to a select committee, but, you know, no one really listens to what people say in any case. Is that an adequate discussion, an adequate forum for something so fundamental?
I think it's an adequate formal forum, and in fact I'm sure the Select Committee that takes the reins of this bill will ensure a longer process, a longer conversation that New Zealanders will be able to have. But in fact this conversation's been happening since, for a long time actually. It actually predates civil unions, and in fact civil unions were created because 3 lesbian couples went to get marriage licences and they were denied that right. And so in fact civil unions were a response at that point in time to same-sex couples being able to unionise or to celebrate or to have a marriage, and civil unions were created as another entity to reflect that desire.
But civil unions at the time are seen as almost a halfway house because they didn't think they would get gay marriage through. What's changed?
I think social attitudes have changed, and you're right, at that point in time I think there was 40% support for gay marriage, but also in that time you've seen Canada was the first country to legalise same-sex marriage in 2001. Since then 11 other countries have legalised same-sex marriage, and in fact we've got discussions happening in the UK, in Australia, in the US, in France, in Scotland. So there's a bit of a global phenomenon happening around equality and human rights actually, and it was highlighted last year by Hillary Clinton when she spoke at the UN and said that the rainbow community globally is the most marginalised and discriminated against community in the world.
You would be aware though there will still be certain, probably large segments of our society who will be bitterly opposed to this.
Absolutely, and actually, you know, I can understand why some of our religious leaders and our religious institutions think this bill will affect how they enjoy marriage within their own context. But I want to be very clear that this bill will in no way compromise the position that churches take on marriage. In fact, earlier this month in the US, on the 220th gathering of Presbyterians, there was a vote about their definition of marriage, and it only passed, I think it was 338 votes to 308. Well, so churches themselves are discussing the definition of marriage for themselves, and we won't at all. Won't be mandatory. Churches won't have to.
Okay. The vote, of course, that's going to count next will be in Parliament. We'll wait and see what happens when a substantial number of your colleagues get off the fence. Louisa Wall, thanks for your time.
Thank you very much. Kia ora.